here, listen your voice and listen Fernando and talk with you and our friends on YouTube and Discord. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opening. Good morning, friends on YouTube. Good morning, Fernando. We are here at the whiteboard. Fernando, by chance, do you have an access to the whiteboard? Fernando just logged out. Probably he could not see what is happening. So I shall describe us what we can see here on the whiteboard. On the whiteboard, we have a painting in the center. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. At the center, there's a painting of Elisha, the prophet, and his assistant, Gehazi. Elisha and Gehazi. When on the right side, we have a text, few verses, not all of the verses, from 2 Kings chapter 4, English and Hebrew. And on the left, to the left side of the painting, there is like few letters or few paragraphs from one article of the Zohar, which is, its title is Vayavor, here, Vayavor Elisha el Shunem, and Elisha passed to Shunem. This is the name of the article that I hope that we could read parts of it today with your help. Fernando, do you have an access to the whiteboard by chance?
Yes, I'm on the whiteboard, yes.
Would you like to read? Would you like to start with the story, the biblical story, or directly with the Zohar? This is your choice, of course. So please.
I like to start with the Bible, with the Bible story, with the Torah.
Yes, yes. So here it is. You're most welcome to read.
Okay. Which part? All the verses, or?
Let's start with 4 from 8 until 11, including 11.
Okay.
4 verses
Okay.
for the beginning.
Okay, so Kings chapter 4, verse 8. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of God, that passeth by us continually. Let us make, I pray thee, a little chamber on the roof, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the upper chamber, and lay there. And
Thank
he
you.
said to Gehazi, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. So what is the plot here of this little forward?
It is a story about a woman that recognizes that Elisha is a holy man, and she asks to her husband to make a chamber for him, and with a bed and a candlestick and a stool and a table. In the first moment she offers bread, but after she invites him to go to the chamber.
Thank you. So I would like to focus at the beginning at one word here, vayavo. The English said passed, to pass or passed, vayavo. And this is a question that you once asked me a while ago, Fernando, and now maybe it's a time to answer your question. What is so special about this English? Vayavor, and you see how the word.
Eti?
Yeah.
I don't know
Hello?
if it is me. I don't know, Rodrigo. If you, can you hear it well? Because for
Hello?
me it is cutting. Your audio is cutting for me. Eti.
Fernando,
I don't
can
know,
you
Rodrigo.
hear? Hello? Hello? Fernando, can you hear?
I can hear you now. Eti.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I just
Now I
wanted,
can hear you.
thank you. I just wanted to focus in the word Vayavor. Once you asked me about this, and here it comes, Vayavor. In English, it is to pass. He passed, to pass, like we have a passport, and we move from one place to another. Vayavo. The sages are dividing this word into two parts, Av and Riu. When Riu is 216, like Gevurah, overcoming, of the left side of the tree, and Ein Bet is the value of 72, when 72 can go in both directions, either for grace, which is 72, or the name, the tetragrammaton with the filling of Yod, Yod, Hey, Vav, Hey. This gives us 72. Now, when we take the filling of the Yod, we have basically 4 letters Yod in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Together, each one is 10. Together they are 40. And this is the letter Mem, the beginning of the word Maim, water. The manifestation starts here. So, basically, in English, Vayavor is Elisha was walking somewhere and he passed and he moved to Shunem. But in Hebrew, it's entirely different. Vayavor is divided into 2 parts. And Luria says is to move basically from the right side of the tree of life to the left side, and I will explain it. 1 second, I would like to use what does it mean, since whether it's wisdom. Now this is the interesting thing that also appears in the prayer of Moses, the 13 attribute. 1 second. Here we have Chesed, which is 72, and here Gevurah, which is 216. Now, on the right side, above Chesed, we have Chokhmah, wisdom. It is also Chokhmah, or the tetragrammaton in the filling of the letter Yod, also gives us 72. So Luria says, what does it mean, Vayavo, also in the prayer of Moses to ask forgiveness on the golden calf? The Bible says, Vayavor al panav vayikra, and he passed on his face and said, it's not to pass. Vayavor, says Luria, is to move from the right side. This is the right side. Chokhmah and Chesed is on the right lane. So Vayavor is to pass from the right side of the tree of life to the left side of the tree, or to move from grace, because the manifestation of wisdom, of the Yod Hey Vav Hey, the manifestation of it is grace, because grace is beneath Chokhmah on the right side. So vayavor is to move from grace to gevurah. Why? We said here that we have 4 letters Yod, that their value is 40, like the letter Mem. And Mem is the beginning of the word water. Water is the manifestation. In order that the water will be manifested here, we need for overcoming. What does it mean? The Yod. The Yod, as we learn in Genesis 2, he took a rib, so to speak, from the man, and the building of the rib. The Yod has to stretch to 3 dimensions to create Hey. So here we have 72 as grace. To move from grace to gevurah, we need 3 times this potential, this drop of grace needs to expand in 3 dimensions. So we take the 72 and we stretch it, or we expand it in 3 directions, and then we have 216. Gevurah, this is what Luria says, to move from the right side to the left side, or to move from chesed to gevurah, because the gevurah are coming as passing, ma'avar. Vital says bederech ma'avar. Bederech ma'avar. Like passing. Because to overcome is like something that we do on the way. It's not the main thing. It's just temporal. Bederech ma'avar. Do we understand?
Yes, I believe that I can understand that.
Questions? Fernando? I hope you can hear us. Yes?
Eti?
Yes.
Eti?
Yes, please.
Eti?
Yes, I
Can
hear
you
you.
me?
I do.
Good. I have a silly question, Eti. The word Ryu, there is a meaning of this word, or is just the number 216, or there is a meaning for this word, which represents Gevurah in this scheme from Vayavo?
Usually it refers to Gevurah. When we say Abriu, we mean that. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. This is also has to do, this kind of thinking has to do with opening of the Red Sea. In your Zohar session in Portuguese, you mentioned the crossing of the Red Sea, or to cross Yam Suf, or to cross this, how do you say, the time. How do we cross the time? This is also have to do with this as well, with the 72 names that appears in 3 verses. We see here the same scheme. This is it. This is how the sages explain the crossing of the Red Sea. Questions?
So he crossed from one side to another, and yesterday you said that Shunem is related with Shunem.
Duality. Yes.
So he passed to duality.
He passed to duality. This is it. He passed to duality. And here comes the secret that you noticed yesterday. V'sham, Sham, there in the duality, Isha Gdola. Isha Gdola, a great vessel, and you found yesterday the value of it. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yes,
It
300.
was 354, if I remember.
Three
If I
five
remember well. Yes.
354. 354. And the Zohar that yesterday, the Zohar says about this is we don't have it. The righteousness of Elisha, he was the only one who had this righteousness like Moses. And here the Zohar corresponds with this thinking, because Isha Gdula plus the 1 is 355, like Pharaoh, and in a way Elisha and the great woman is like Moses and Pharaoh. But slowly, this is a very, very deep thought, very, very deep thought. At the moment, we shall let it be. Now, do you have any questions before we move to read the Zohar? This is the question.
Eti, before we
Yes,
move, may I say something?
of course.
If I understood well, this Vayavor, this passage from Hesed to Gevurah, is something necessary to this grace could manifested in the word, in the multiplicity. I don't
Yes.
know if you understood well.
Yes, this is there's a great need that the infinite grace will be manifested, but in order that the infinite grace will be manifested, we need the Gevurah. We need to have this stretch into 3 dimensions, because what was in the potential as grace or wisdom has to come and to appear in 3 dimensions. This is why the womb, for instance, the womb is a 3-dimensional system. Like the letter Hey. In the womb, a drop can be manifested to be a baby.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. So Elisha moves from the right side to duality El Shunem to Gevurah. And there is a great woman, or great vessel, or a thought, machashava, because 354 is 354 plus 1 is 355, like machashava, thought. Or like Pharaoh, depends on how we look at it. And there is a great need, as you said, that the infinite grace will be manifested. Another thing that we did not discuss yesterday, because it was a very, very condensed theme yesterday, Vayehi Hayom, the abbreviation Vav and Hey, this is Va. Because we have the name Yah, this is beyond time and space. Vayehi Hayom, and it was the day, always Va, and we have in a way space and time. And space and time is like not sometimes nice things are happening in space and time. This is why Rabbi Shimon says this is the speech of sorrow, Vayehi Hayom, and so on. Questions? Yes. Hello.
Hello, my friends. Hello. Just thinking that in this way of 3 times grace,
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting that the woman or the vessel constrained him to eat bread, and I was thinking that bread itself it's 3 times the tetragrammaton. So
Excellent.
it's like the manifestation of Hashem in those 3 dimensions as well.
True.
like a condition to make this passing is to share and eat this bread, this manifestation of the name.
It's great because they can meet at a three-dimensional. She shares the bread. I mean, he comes, he passes through, he goes vayavor, he moves from grace or wisdom to gevurah, and she comes with the bread, and the bread is 3 times the tetragrammaton, and they meet in the third dimension. Questions? Fernando?
Alright, I'm fine. I'm ready to follow to the Zohar.
Good. Let's see. Yes. Here this is letter Vav. Letter Vav. No Vav. There is... Okay, we have here verse Vav. Letter Vav is 6. The article is quite long, and I'll try to do the best we can. Ela Shafir Ka'amart, this is words in Aramaic, but you said beautiful things. And he answers, Ela Yafe Amra, but beautiful she said, meaning the Shunamite, the woman from Shunem. Aval hine na yadati. But here I knew. She knew and not another. Hi yad'a velo acher. This is the speech. Fernando, did we read the verse? Hinena yadati. Can you please read again verse 9? Because it's the discussion is about this, please.
Yes, verse 9. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is a holy man of God that passeth by us continually.
Thank you. And let's see how the Zohar perceives her speech. And he answers, Ela yafe amra, she said beautifully, Hinena yadati, here I knew. She knew and not other, because she was fixing his bed. At the time he was sleeping in it at night, at a time he was waken up in the morning. And what they said, shesadin lavan hetila bemitato, and what they said that she put a white sheet into his bed, so it was. And in the white sheet she could know, because from the way of the world it is that since a person wakes up from his bed, the sheet that he was sleeping on brings unpleasant or filthy smell. And this one, once she was raising the bed, the bed sheet, from his bed, the bed sheet was rising, smells like the scents that are in the Garden of Eden. She said, if not that he is a holy, and the holy of his master is upon him, the scent, the holy scent would never have risen from the bed sheet. So here the Zohar expose what is happening behind the scene, because the verse says or quotes her speech to her husband, Hinena yadati, she knows, and she asks her husband, she says, Hinena yadati, here I know. And the Zohar says what, and he describes the Zohar, what was her evidence to know that he is a holy man. What is this evidence that the Zohar brings?
The good smell in her bed, her it.
Yes, yes. Because usually people of the world, the flesh does not, specifically when people sleep, the flesh rising, not a very good smell. Specifically when people sleep. And she noticed, though he was sleeping, the bed was rising with good smell. So he must have been holy, because if a person is resting on a bed and it does not brings with a bad smell, it has to have sense of holiness, because the flesh, the nature of flesh is not to give a good scent. Letter Zayin or Mark 7. Do you have any questions before we start letter 7? Would you like to say something?
I am just thinking that the smell could be related with the nose and related with Zer and P.
Yes, yes. It is also a middle line. That's correct. That's correct.
And it is the very number of the article as well is the Vav.
Yes, that's correct. The number of the article is Vav. Very good. Beginning, yes?
It makes me remember also.
Yes?
I'm sorry, Tia.
No. Please continue. No.
Just to share one story that is like a strange story. Let's say it's a story that came that around here there was a man that could that has this ability to feel smell, to feel the perfume or things. Very sensitive, that people that are very sensitive and could, and the plants are like mixed for this kind of people. And this man once said that when he passed from some pure people or woman, they smell like flower. It was something that exudes purity. And in another occasion, he says that a man that envy smells like a monkey. And he was not talking about symbols. He was talking what he felt, really.
Yes, yes.
You know, I
Yes.
don't know the word in English for the people who feel like this, but just to bring that sometimes.
Sentimental? You mean sentimental? That it is
sensitive.
Say they can.
Sensitive.
Yes, if people have, I read in the book of Rabbi Moshe David Vali. Rabbi Moshe David Vali was a doctor and a student of Moshe Chaim Luzzatto in Padua, in Italy, North Italy. They were doctors and they were learning Zohar 24/7. And Vali, as a doctor, says in his books that a person should, be careful, be cautious from people who has bad smell, because their thoughts and their behavior is not so good. Not to mention that they might be sick even. Yes, and there are people that sometimes they have like all kinds of smell from bad thoughts and bad behavior. It's something, this is a print. It is a print. And Luria also warns his student not to walk, even not to pass through if there's a bad smell in the area. Meaning, not to walk through a trash can if there's no need in the street. Not to walk and even to have those, even for a moment, those impressions. Thank you, Fernando. It is reality. It is reality.
Yes, Rodrigo sometimes play with me and mocks me, let's say, saying that I think always symbolically, but sometimes it is not only an an abstract idea. Sometimes it manifests just
Yeah.
as the symbol. You know, the symbol manifesting reality in 3 dimensions, like in perfect state. And I think that from what Felipe said about Elisha going to Geburah, maybe is this, you know, the pure man in Hesed maintains pure in judgment, could be the same in different dimensions. Just thinking it, and thank you.
It is true. It is true what you say regarding the Vav as well, and the smell in Zer Anpin, because the smell is associated with the masculine, not with the Nukba. By the way, the smell, the scent with the nose, but also with Alma de Dechora, with the world of the male, the hidden, not with the Nukba, the separated Nukba. This is also in the book of Agido. Once I shared with you a book from the 15th century that was translated from Latin by Juda Libes, that he was related to the Pope and he learned Hebrew, and he writes this in his book. The smell has to do with the masculine, the hidden. Because the smell, why is it hidden? Because the smell rises into the nose, and from the nose it rises into the mind. The smell is rising from bottom to up. This is against gravity. Against gravity.
Eti,
Yes, yes,
may I say something?
sure.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. No, just hear you and Fernando. I just remember that I read once in a book from 15th century that, how can I say, not only our body exhales a smell, but our ruach, our spirit, could exhalate a pure heart, a pure spirit exhalates these smells. And I don't know well, it's written in this book that the angels, the malachim, could feel the smell that our soul exiles, our spirit exiles, our ruach exiles.
It is true.
And just to mention.
True. With your permission, I would like to move to letter Yod Bet, Mark 12, because we have to proceed, and I would like us to go to the core text. Why the name of the child is Chavakuk. We were mentioning yesterday that the name of the child will be Chavakuk. So I would like to move to letter Yod Bet, article 12. We proceed because so far Fernando did not reach this verse, but you remember yesterday we were mentioning that Elisha asked, what does she woman need? And Gehazi, his assistant servant, says, Vayomer Gehazi. And Gehazi said, Aval ben en la, but a son she doesn't have, and continue to read the verse. Amar la Elisha. Elisha told her, Ha vadai. Sorry, I'm reading the Aramaic and I would like to accelerate. Amar la Elisha. Elisha told her, but naturally, the time, Hasha'a omedet, the time, the hour is standing for you to be saved in a son. Lehivasha, to be saved in a son. Ki hayom gorem, because the day is causing. What does it mean because the day is causing? Ki berosh hashana, because this day, vayehi hayom, and yesterday we discussed that this day is Rosh Hashanah, because in Rosh Hashanah, the the unparented mothers can conceive. I'm not sure that I said this right English, but כי בראש השנה נפקדו עקרות. עקרות are the ladies that did not give birth yet. So the time is marking that it's a good time for those who are not mother yet to be conceived. And he said, ויאמר למועד הזה, to this time, and so on, and the woman conceived, and she gave birth to a son. And afterwards died. He asked, what is the reason? Ta'am, siba, cause. What is the cause or the reason that the child died? And he answers, but because the son was given to her and not to her husband. And from the place of the nukba, it was connected. And who is connected within the female, nekeva, a death is destined to him. And from where do we know that he was given to her, to the nekeva, to the female? Because it is written, at choveket ben, you embracing a son. Let's find this verse here in the chapter, the speech of Elisha. Let's move to Elisha's speech. Can you please read verse 16, Fernando?
Yes. And he said, at this season, when the time cometh round, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, nay, my lord, O man of God, do not lie unto thy handmaid.
Thank you. So Elisha promised her, to this time of the year, you are embracing a son. Letter Yod Gimel, come and see. Be'Avraham katuv, in the story of Abraham it is written, Shov ashuv elecha. Surely I will return to you Abraham, masculine, elecha, velo eleha, and not to her, to Sarah. Elecha vadai, to you, surely, becha hitkasher, within you, with Abraham, he was connected, velo banekeva, and not in the female. Kimi sheba mitzad hanekeva, because the one who comes from the side of the female, hamavet makdimoto, the death forwards him. Now he continues to read one of the verses. Now I would like, before that we continue, can you please read the source, Vata'al? Can you please read verse 21, Fernando?
Yes. And when he had taken, and
okay.
she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out.
Thank you. And let's continue with the Zohar. And she rose up and she laid him on the bed of the man of God, because she saw that there is their upper holiness more than in everyone. ולא במטה ולא בשעתה דהבו בני נביאי קיימא. This is another verse that comes that we should read, verse 15 or Tetvav. ויאמר איש האלוקים, and the man of God said, he asked, what is the difference here that the writing calls him the man of God, Ish Elohim? And while he was in the city, they called him Elisha. And he answers, but here is surely the man of God, because here is his place, and not in the city, and not in the time or in the hour that the sons of the prophets were in front of him. And this is why he is not called there in the city next to the sons of the prophet, the man of God, but Elisha. Questions so far?
What does it mean that the child of a woman will certainly die?
Can you, Fernando, can you increase the volume? I
Yes,
barely hear.
this expression, that can you hear me?
Yes, now, yes, a bit. I'll try to increase the volume here. Yeah.
Okay. You read that what came from the Nukva will die for sure, something like this.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm wondering, what do you understand about this?
The Nukba, the Zohar says, Ela delet la midi, ela ma diahiv le bala. The Nukba, the world of Nukba, or gravity, does not have anything from its own spirit, but the spirit that she gets from Zer Anpin. So, if the life of a child is not given from, so to speak, Zer Anpin, if the life of the child are being given from the left side, or from the Nukba, or from gravity only, there will be a problem. We saw the same story with the Tzerafit, the woman from Seraphand in the story of Eliyahu. She was a widow, meaning the widow has no husband, but it's not this is like a parable. There is no husband, there is no spirit, there is no Vav, and her son dies. But they need a Vav, they need a connection, and Eliyahu, in the parallel story, Eliyahu is the connection. He will connect the child of the woman from Seraphand to the tree of life. Without spirit, the flesh cannot live. But for a while, for an hour, for the time being, if the life are not streaming from a higher source, the children will die. It's a good question, Fernando. I would like to address your question with a story that I read about Bala Sulam. With all the beautiful translation of the Zohar, but this is it happened in reality, like the story that you told us about the perfume before and flowers. Bala Sulam was in the 40s of the last century in Jerusalem, and he was writing almost every day, 18 hours, just writing and translating the Zohar. And students, they were great sages, they were assembly against, came into his home to help him, even with a little task like shamash, to help him, to assist him, that he could only focus in writing, because they knew he had to bring this to the public. So even for little things, each and every one of the students for a short time help him, assist him, that he could only focus in a holy writing. This is holy what we do here. It's what he did, what we read. This is holy. But to enable his time, they were circling him, the student, just to help him that he could focus in one thing. One day, his student, I think it was Moshe Lamberger, he was helping him at home. It was one morning. A woman was knocking at the door. What can they do? Somebody's knocking at the door. They open. The woman urged and asked for a blessing. And Bala Sulam, he is writing the Zohar. What now? To stop and to go and to speak to people. But since she knocked at the door, she did not leave the door. They opened the door. The student, Lamberger, opened the door. And she asked for a blessing. She told the rabbi the following words. She said, it was in the 40s in Jerusalem. She said that she all the time gets pregnant. She delivers a son and then he dies. And then she gets pregnant again and then she delivers a son and then he dies at 3, 4, something like that. After 3 or 4 times she didn't know what to do, so she heard that the blessing of a righteous man exists. And she asked in Jerusalem, who is the righteous man in this time? And people said there is a sage there in Jerusalem, Bala Sulam or Ashlag, and go ask the righteous man a blessing that your children or the next child will live. So she came. And Bala Sulam looked at her and said, you will conceive and you will have a son and he shall live. And the woman left. And then after she left and closed the door behind her, he told his student Rabbi Moshe Lamberger, he told her, him, look what she is asking for. Of course, he blessed her because she asked for blessing. But he told his student, look what she is looking for, to be born in time. But they were doing is completely in opposite direction. He is in students. And the woman conceived and she gave birth to a son and he lived. This is the story. Alma de Dechura or Alma de Nukba.
So could we say that it is a beautiful story, and thank you for sharing it with us. And I was listening and thinking that maybe to live it is needed like the will to give, because the Nukva only wants to receive.
Yes.
It is only for my consumption.
Yes, self-consumption. Very good, very good, very good, Fernando.
Yes.
Very good, very good. That's correct, that's correct. I would like us, since we're already proceeding in time, to skip and to read letter Kaf or Mark 20, because here the Zohar explained why the child is named Havakuk, because we did not start reading the article from the beginning. It's quite long and very deep. So we should read and explain it, and you see how it resonates with the first sentence that we open in our conversation. Letter Kaf, Mark 20. ודע הוא חבקוק, וזהו חבקוק הנביא, חבקוק the prophet. כשם שאתה אומר, like as you say, את חובקת בן. You are embracing a son. And חבקוק הוא מלשון חיבוק. And חבקוק, the word or the name חבקוק, comes from the tongue or the language of חיבוק. And he asked, אם כן, חיבוק היה צריך להיקרא. If so, he should have been called embracement, embracing, or חיבוק in Hebrew. ולמה נקרא חבקוק? And why does he called חבקוק? Is he called חבקוק? שהמשמעות שני חיבוקים, because חבקוק, because he was named Habakkuk, the prophet, and the meaning of Habakkuk, it is two embracing, or two hugs, and he answers. But חיבוק אחד הוא דאמו. One embracing is from his mother, and second embracing is of Elisha, that he was embraced with him while he was reviving him. Another explanation: two hugs or embracement he had, within from the side of his mother and within from the side of the prophet. One embracing was from the place that he was hanged from in the beginning, meaning the place of the female, as we read. Another embracing that rose him higher to higher steps, meaning to the place of the masculine or the male, as we mentioned. And both embracing are including in the embracing of his mother, and also in the embracing of the prophet. And this is why he is called Habakkuk, that its meaning is two embracing. Habakkuk, train חיבוקים, two embracing. חיבק, חבק, and חבק, two embracing. Habakkuk. Now I ask you a mathematical question. Let's take the name Habakkuk and give it a numerical value. What will happen now? Look at the miracle.
116.
Habakkuk is 216. Yes, this is it. ויעבור אלישע אל שונם. What do you say about that?
Nice. It is overcome, right? It is this. I'm connecting now the two ideas that you brought in the beginning.
Yes. To
about the Vayavor.
Yes. Is to overcome, in this case, to overcome the nukba, the gravity, and to bring him to higher levels, higher spiritual levels. Yes, this is overcoming. Because the nukba is like the letter Dalet. It has two dimensions, vertical and horizontal, and the Gevurah is to bring it to the third dimension, the depths in spirit. Yesod. Questions so far? Felipe, Rodrigo, Fernando, Venus. Yes.
Would you? It's so deep. I was wondering, this name means the embrace one. Is it correct? Habakkuk?
Chavakuk comes from chibuk. I will open the letters 1 second. 3 letters of Chavakuk. The first, the 4. 1 second. We can do it in many ways. If we take the 4 together, the 4 first, we have chibuk. Chibuk is embracing, but we have another kof. So those, we look like this: chavak and chavak, because we have 2 kof. One kof unites with the chet bet, and we have hug or embrace, and another kof is connected to another chet and bet, and we have another hug or another embracing. So chibuk from the mother, the woman from Shunem, and as Fernando says, Shunem is from Shnai, from duality. So from the Nukba has only 2 dimensions, the duality, and the child died. We did not read the whole drama. He says, Roshi, Roshi, twice time under the sun, my head, the world of duality. This is also resonating. So one hug or embrace he had from his mother, the woman from Shunem from Shnaim, duality. Duality. And this, the duality will kill. And another hug he got from Elisha, the man of God. Ish Elokim Kadosh. So this is the world of Nukba, and he died. But the embracing that Elisha gave him was, and then there's, let's say that in the beginning this is a Vav, but when we continue to read more Zohar articles about the special relation between Elisha and the child, we are going to higher levels. It's not the place and the time to deal about this revival, but Elisha managed to bring Chavakuk into very, very high spiritual steps, or in the tree of life. So, chibuk echad, one hug from the mother, the woman from Shunem, chibuk from the world of duality, from the world of Nukba, and another one from the Vav, let's say from the beginning. I cannot go into more details at the moment, we don't have the time and the space, but the second hug that he got from Elisha was much, much higher in terms of source of life, and he could revive the child, and the child is named Chavakuk because of those 2 hugs, the one from his mother and the one from the prophet. And the Gevurah was not just of Elisha, it's also the Gevurah of the child, that he managed to ascend to the 3rd dimension and not to die in duality. I was dreaming about this article. I don't know how long to share with you. For a long time, Venus.
And we
Thank
can
you.
thank you so much.
You're most
We can see
welcome.
that have so much beyond this. It is quite deep, and we thank you so much. I can see that we can continue some.
Yes.
somehow.
Yes, yes, I do hope. I do hope to continue this in the future with you to go into more and more deeper layers of the thinking of what happened there. Thank you so much for being with us today. I would like to wish you a very good week and good weather and good condition and love and good relations. And until the next
Thank you
time.
very
So
much.
much.
Shalom,
Thank you
shalom.
very much. It
Thank you
was
so
a
much.
great session. Thank you to share. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Shalom, shalom.
Thank you for everything. Thank you, friends. Shalom.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Shalom.